Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of COVID Calls. Today is not just Lovin Malta's 4th birthday, but it's also 420, which is the date that cannabis activists use to sort of commemorate the need for this activism. So it's a bit like the pride for LGBT campaigners. Today is 420, and as we know, Malta has long been trying to position itself as a bit of a pioneer in this area. Today on the program, we actually have the junior minister responsible for this sector. So we have Rosianne Cutajar, who we will be speaking to very soon. Rosianne, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Hi, Chris.
Hi, okay. Thank you very much for being on the program. Just to introduce as well, earlier today, Rosianne issued a video. I think it must have been the first time the government has issued a 420 related video, where she spoke a lot, where you spoke a lot about the situation for cannabis users. So I just want to start. One of the very interesting things that you mentioned was a survey that found that 40,000 people smoke cannabis in Malta, right? Is that correct? What else does the survey tell us?
It is correct, Chris. Aħna sibna minn dan is-survey xjentifiku li għamilna li 11.7% tal-popolazzjoni tagħna ġieli jagħmlu użu mill-cannabis. Jiena u oħrajn naħsbu li saħansitra dan in-numru huwa wieħed konservattiv li xtajjeb li ngħidu li persuna ċempilla over the phone mhux kulħadd iħossu komdu jgħid li ġieli jagħmel użu mill-cannabis. Però interessanti li naraw li aktar minn 40,000 persuna ġieli jagħmlu użu mill-cannabis xi darba oħra f'ħajjithom. Pereżempju joħroġ fiċ-ċar ukoll illi l-irġiel jagħmlu iktar użu minn nisa f'dak li huwa cannabis għal użu rikreazzjonali. Joħroġ ukoll, u dan huwa punt importanti li nixtieq nwassal u wassaltu anke dalgħodu fil-messaġġi li tellajt fuq social media, illi għandek pratikament 40%, skużawni, 14% tal-persuni li għandhom livell terzjarju ta' edukazzjoni li wkoll jammettu jgħidu illi jagħmlu użu mill-cannabis. U dan ifisser li inti tista' tkun achiever anka jekk tagħmel użu mill-cannabis. Joħorġu ħafna affarijiet interessanti minn dan is-survey, pereżempju fosthom illi l-affiljazzjoni politika ta' dak li jkun taffettwa l-ħsieb fuq diversi suġġetti inkluż fuq il-cannabis. Jiġifieri tara trend li hija ċara li għandek dawk illi pereżempju fl-aħħar elezzjoni tal-2017 ivvutaw Labour huma fil-maġġoranza favur l-użu tal-cannabis u mbagħad għandek ċifri li huma pjuttost vera konservattivi ta' nies li vvutaw il-Partit Nazzjonalista fl-2017 u li huma favur il-cannabis. Dak approċċar ukoll mis-survey.
U bħala genders ukoll hemm differenzi hemmhekk?
Ara, in-nisa tendenzjalment dejjem ikunu iktar konservattivi fuq dawn l-issues, fuq cannabis joħroġ ċar ukoll in-nisa huma ftit konservattivi rigward is-suġġett. Interessanti joħroġ il-punt li l-iktar li jagħmlu użu huma dik il-faxxa ta' żgħażagħ bejn 16 to 25. Jiġifieri kienu aktar inclined lejn l-użu tal-cannabis u anka fuq dak li hija regolarizzazzjoni tal-cannabis.
Sa dan il-programm huwa dedikat lil COVID, għalhekk COVID calls. Il-COVID affettwa l-ħidma tiegħek bħala l-Ministru responsabbli biex tagħmel daw ir-riformi?
Ovvjament, din nitkellmu fuq il-COVID. Jiena diġà esprimejt anka diversi punti vis-à-vis il-cannabis mal-COVID fosthom pereżempju li l-cannabis aħna f'Malta hija legali il-cannabis għal użu mediku u allura bħala pajjiż irridu nkunu narfu napprofittaw minnu f'sens illi nibbenefikaw anke fuq livell ekonomiku. Ġifieri nafu li l-ekonomija tagħna ħadet daqqa ta' ħarta bħalma ħadet l-ekonomija tal-pajjiżi kollha affettwati bil-COVID u allura tajjeb li nesploraw u nkunu minn ta' quddiem pereżempju f'dik li hija manifattura fuq cannabis mediku li ovvjament hemmhekk mhux qed jibbenefika biss il-personal user imma aħna b'mod holistiku il-pajjiż kollu.
U imma pereżempju legislation li suppost il-kom ftit li ħriġtu biha fis-sens li ilna ngħidu naħseb minn iktar minn 2016 jew 2017 li se nagħmlu dak il-pass. Fil-video tiegħek ta' dalgħodu tajt fil-fatt li cannabis is not yet legal in Malta. Is it illegal? Is it legal? Naħseb hemm xi grey area hawnhekk li għal ħafna nies jista' jkun ta' konfużjoni.
Ara, in 2015 għamilna emendi legali li bihom bdejna nirrikonoxxu il-kunċett ta' personal user. Sewwa issa wieħed minkejja li jgħid li huwa pass pożittiv irid jirrikonoxxi li huwa ftit konservattiv. Il għaliex qegħdin ngħidu li persuna li tinqabad bi 3.5 grams flok tmur il-qorti itmur quddiem dan l-hekk imsejjaħ tribunal. Issa 3.5 grams huma relativament ftit. U allura anke meta titkellem ma' cannabis users jgħidulek li l-ammont huwa pjuttost żgħir. Issa x'jiġri meta inti jaqbduk biktar minn 3.5 grams. F'dak il-każ taqaf kategorija differenti titressa quddiem il-qorti u ovvjament kulħadd jaf x'jiġri. Dik hija xi ħaġa li personalment iddejjaqni ħafna, ġifieri żgur mhux forsi l-ammont huwa wieħed żgħir. Ħaġa oħra li nistgħu narawha bħala anomalija hija pereżempju li il-liġi titkellem biss fuq grammi u ma tagħmilx pereżempju distinzjoni fuq diversi partijiet tal-pjanta. Allura x'jiġri? Tajjeb li ngħidu li inti mhux il-pjanta kollha ikun fiha THC, sewwa ġeneralment it-THC tkun fil-bad u forsi fi kwantitajiet żgħar fil-weraq. Fil-liġi tagħna x'jiġri jekk għandek 6 xtieli żgħar, anke jekk ma fihomx bad, inti għal qudiem il-liġi peress li jeħdulek in konsiderazzjoni il-weight ta' xtieli, ovvjament qed tidher li qed taqbeż dak il-limitu msemmi. Allura dik hija anomalija. Ġifieri li nixtieq jiena anke li fil-liġi ikollna deskrizzjoni aktar preċiża u mhux nibqgħu ngħidu nitkellmu fuq pjanta. Daqs li kieku il-pjanta ikollha s-sustanzi psikoattivi. Hija parti biss mill-pjanta tal-kannabis li jkollha dak li nsejħulu THC. Xi ħaġa oħra pereżempju li ddejjaqni u għamilt anke riferiment għaliha fil-video tiegħi ta' dalgħodu Chris, hija li pereżempju dawk il-persuni li nqabdu qabel l-2015 bil-cannabis għad għandhom il-kondotta tagħhom imċabsa. U allura jiena nixtieq lil dawn iż-żgħażagħ lil dawn il-persuni ma jibqgħux bil-kondotta mċabsa. U dik hija xi ħaġa li nisħaqha fil-video ma nemminx li l-kondotta għandha tiċċabbas u anqas li persuni jmorru l-ħabs fuq użu personali ta' cannabis. Punt li nixtieq nagħmel u forsi jekk tippermettili Chris, anke minħabba dak li għaddejjin bħalissa, aħna din ngħidu n-nies iżommu social distancing u jevitaw li joħorġu mid-dar. U allura wieħed jifhem li l-kwantità trid tikber ftit u jagħmel sens anke biex il-personal user ma jqgħodx jiltaqa' ma' trafficker kuljum.
Biex ikun hemm naħseb.
Biss bħalissa li għaddejjin mis-sitwazzjoni tal-pandemija li nefitaw il-kuntatt man nies imma anke li nefitaw li l-persuna li tagħmel użu mill-cannabis li tiltaqa' spiss fuq livell iktar regolari ma' drug dealer għaliex nafu x'jista' jiġri jħeġġuk tixtri droga oħra li tagħmel iktar ħsara hija aktar addictive u allura dawk l-affarijiet ma nixtiequhomx li jiġru.
Interessanti x'kont qed tgħid fuq ix-xtiedi għax naħseb fil-każ ta' Daniel Holmes kollha niftakruh naħseb ukoll kien hemm dan l-aspett ukoll fil-każ tiegħu. Before naf li għandek appuntament il-Parlament ukoll imma qabel ma titlaq irrid nintroduċi ftit il-Andrew Bonello. Andrew Bonello is the president of ReLeaf, which is an NGO that is lobbying for cannabis reform. And I want to ask you, Andrew, even in front of the junior minister, what your reaction was to the 420 video that she released this morning, and whether you have any points that you would like to raise. I know that you issued a press release last week talking about the urgency, the need in light of COVID to regulate this space in a better way. So just to, and we can go into more details about that, but I want to get your reaction, especially to this 420 message from the government. Sorry, one second. You're not yet. Okay, go ahead.
I'm all right. Hi, Rosianne. Hi, Chris.
Hello,
Happy 420 and happy 4th birthday to Lovin Malta.
Thank you.
Regarding Rosianne's video today, obviously it was a massive breath of fresh air for us, obviously, because never have we had the government come out so positively and mention these type of comments. Yes, it's very nice to see that consumers' rights were mentioned. I think, of course, we, like everybody else, have rights, and we think that some of those rights would be, at the moment, would be very good if we could be able to cultivate our own plants at home for personal consumption without having to go out, especially in these times of COVID, to have to meet with dealers and all these things, which is obviously dangerous, not only because it's dangerous anyway, but at these times with COVID, it's even more dangerous. So that's something we're trying to push within this month to see if we can get it maybe at least debated in Parliament, because at the end of the day, it is a human right to be able to have your own health in order, together with your own privacy. The two very important rights, which we think fit in very well to this issue. But on the whole, obviously, yes, it's a fantastic video, and we're very happy with what Rosianne said in the video and what she's saying now as well, because basically we are on the same page. We want to work together. We'd like to be more involved with whatever policies are presented. After all, we are the voice of the people, the voice of the consumers, and it's our health which is involved in all of this at the end of the day.
So on the program as well today, we will have John Ellul, who is a policy advisor to the government. So we'll be going into some more details about some of the considerations that are being made. But Rosianne, I want to get your reaction to this. Can anything be done in the short term? I know that you've mentioned, that there's a lot of plans underway. You've been working at this for, I think, about 100 days now since you've been appointed in the role. Are there any short-term wins that the cannabis lobby, these 40,000 people that you spoke of today, can expect? Hello?
Ma smajċ eżatt l-aħħar parti tal-mistoqsija, ma jidher li saqsejtni fuq jekk hemm xi short plans u vera. Ovvjament tifhmu li l-inizjattivi tiegħi sabiex finalment mbagħad isiru liġi, irid ikun hemm ovvjament il-barka tal-kabinett u mbagħad iridu jgħaddu minn diskussjoni anka parlamentari li nista' ngħid illi nifhem perfettament li s-sitwazzjoni affettwat lil cannabis users bħalma wara kollox affettwat affarijiet oħrajn bħalma huma pereżempju nisa f'sitwazzjonijiet ta' violenza domestika. Bħal jkollna l-kabinett nixtieq inqajjem anka dan il-punt anka ma' sħabi u naraw jekk short term jistax isir xi ħaġa. Wieħed irid jifhem li l-approach irid ikun wieħed ta' responsabilità ħafna drabi mhuwiex biss dak li nixtieq jien personali għax wis probabbli intom tafu what I stand for u dak li hija viżjoni tiegħi. Imma ovvjament meta tkun fil-politika tkun parti minn tim u dak kollu li jiġi fl-aħħar mill-aħħar leġislat irid ikun għadda minn proċess ħafna drabi jieħu xi ftit ta' żmien. Però nista' ngħidilkom li fl-ewwel mitjum iltqajna b'mod regolari John huwa parti anke mit-tim, anke ltqajna ma' Andrew naħseb kienu qed mill-itwal meetings illi kelli u nammirhom għas-sempliċi raġuni li minħabba l-istigma li hawn il-problema hija ma tantx issib nies li jitkellmu open fuq is-suġġett. Ġifieri jiena kelli piloti, kelli tobba, teachers li kellmuni b'mod privat u jgħiduli grazzi tal-li qed titkellem dwarna ma minħabba l-istigma li hawn aħna ma nistgħux nisgħu l quddiem.
Tgħinek, Rosianne, tgħinek il-fatt li l-kabinett tal-gvern m'għandux ħafna, mhux kbir ħafna fl-età, il-fatt li hemm iż-żgħażagħ kollha fil-kabinett?
Naħseb li bla dubju hija favorina u żvera, ġifieri iż-żgħażagħ huma magħrufin għall-ħsibijiet ftit iktar liberali tagħhom, jiġifieri naħseb li tkun ta' vantaġġ tiegħi meta l quddiem ħanressa ovvjament proposti leġislattivi.
U taħseb li Malta għandha tkun pioneer aw fis-sens innaf, should Malta be the capital of cannabis? Should Malta be one of the top countries when it comes to this subject?
Ifimni jiena l-ewwel għadlek li għandna nisfruttaw il-fatt li l-cannabis mediku huwa legali. F'dik li hija manifattura, esportazzjoni, il-pajjiż għandu ħafna xi benefika minn dak l-aspett. Ovvjament dak li tissaqsini inti jeħtieġ ħsieb kbir. Dina bħal meta jiena nitkellem fuq il-prostituzzjoni u ngħidlek li jiena favur full decriminalization, imma ma jfissirx li mbagħad jiena favur li nfetħu pereżempju l-bridel. Jiġifieri wieħed irid jara diversi modelli, għandna nillegalizzaw imma nillegalizzaw b'ċertu restrictions, għandna nibdew billi niddekriminalizzaw b'mod aktar miftuħ b'tali mod li nipproteġu il-cannabis user. Nemmen li jrid ikun hemm passi, għandu mhux ma naħduhom dawn il-passi, imma fl-istess ħin ikunu responsabbli għaliex fl-aħħar mill-aħħar qegħdin nitkellmu fuq suġġett li għal ħafna huwa skomdu.
Grazzi ħafna tal-ħin tiegħek.
Thank you intom.
Naf li għandek il-ħidma għall-Parlament, għankomplu bil-guest l-oħrajn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senna, skużani erġa' jdilna għax
Għatilkom happy 420.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Ciao.
Thanks, thank you.
Thank you, Rosianne.
Bye, Andrew.
Bye.
So Andrew, and I just want to bring in our other guest, John Ellul. Hi, John. Can you hear me?
Hi, everyone. Perfect.
Perfect. So John Ellul is someone who is a policy advisor to government on this subject. He also used to work as a forensic officer, so he's got some interesting expertise over there. But before we get to you, John, Andrew, explain to us how exactly is COVID affecting cannabis users? You issued the statement last week saying that things are particularly problematic at the moment. Why?
Well, look, I'm going to start off by, so it doesn't just come from me, that might not have any letters behind my name. I'll start off with a quote made by the narcotics expert, Godwin Zammut, who's explained that drug trafficking has been negatively hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, and drugs availability locally could become increasing, diluted, or more dangerous. This we know is happening already, because this interview with him was on the 5th of April. This is already happening, so obviously we need to protect ourselves from this, and there's no better way than now to be able to grow your own supply and not have to go out and deal with these dangerous situations.
Mm-hmm. So the problem is that the quality of the drugs coming into the country is problematic. Or what's that? Is it the travel ban? Is it the catamaran? What exactly is causing this situation?
I mean, there's different types of things that issues that this causes. I mean, you can get bad quality. You can get quality which is being mixed to make it heavier, and God knows what's being used. Synthetic drugs or what's known as synthetic cannabis, which is not cannabis at all, can be put inside to make the user feel that it's actually giving an effect. This is highly dangerous. So these are things that could easily be avoided if users were just not prosecuted and not thrown in jail for just growing their own quantity of cannabis.
Yeah, and I imagine a lot of dealers are also trying to socially distance themselves as well. John, maybe you can enlighten us a little bit as well about, I mean, you're a policy advisor, so you're looking into this area. Can cannabis use be more problematic in COVID times from a health perspective as well?
I'm not a medic myself, but obviously the use of cannabis is dependent on or relative on the way it is being used. So smoking in itself, all research and even research that's coming out today is showing that smoking is a contributor to the negative impact of COVID-19. So it can have very serious repercussions on the health of the user. So obviously smoking, like with tobacco, is not encouraged at all.
So all the more reason to regulate and provide other forms of the substance?
Precisely, u għalhekk anki kif qed tara Voldiri minkejja li hawn dawn id-diffikultajiet, is-Segretarju Parlamentari, Junior Minister Rosianne Cutajar, baqgħet għaddejja bix-xogħol tagħha minkejja li l-Gvern huwa impenjat fuq affarijiet li huma intrinsikament ħafna iktar importanti ħanajdu hekk, però xorta bqajna għaddejjin b'ritmu normali, anzi żidna d-doża fejn qed jidħlu dawn ir-riformi u qegħdin naraw illi qed inħarsu lejn aspetti u smajna kif smajt anke lil Andrew u xiltqajna miegħu u anki ma' oħrajn huma esperti f'dan il-qasam. Il-iva hemm areas hemm oqsma fejn fil-leġiżlazzjoni tagħna hemm il-ħtieġa li jiġu indirizzati biex intaffu kemm jista' jkun minn dan ħanejdu hekk il-konsegwenzi negattivi li qed iġib magħha l-COVID-19.
So you've been involved in this area advising government, I think, since 2017, right? And things have developed, but mostly they seem to have developed from the front of business, in the sense medical cannabis, and we've opened up in a big way to the sector. So I want to know whether that's been successful and especially in connection with the other industries that we've had. So we had a lot of hoo-ha about blockchain, for example, and cryptocurrencies, but then the companies struggled to be set up, Is that also happening with cannabis?
This is a very, very important question. Għal min qed isegwina. Jiena ngħidlek illi medical cannabis industry ħatkun l-industrija li ħassalva ħanejdu hekk jew ħatkun waħda mill-pilastri li ssalva l-ekonomija tal-pajjiż. As we speak qed jiġu investiti miljuni kbar ta' euros f'impjanti ġodda f'Malta biex jipproduċu fuq livell farmaceutiku prodotti mediċinali li ġejjin mill-cannabis. Dan l-investiment ifisser li qegħdin jiġu impjegati nies f'livell tekniku għoli, qed nitkellmu fuq inġiniera, PhDs, xjentisti spiżjara u fejn il-pagi tagħhom l-istrat tal-pagi huma l-iktar għoljin, però żgur illi lejn l-aħħar ta' din is-sena jew fil-bidu tas-sena d-dieħla ser inkunu qegħdin naraw impjiegi ġodda li fejn ikunhom bżonn l-operaturi dawk li jaħdmu fil-production level, voldiri dawk li ħajtilfu x-xogħol tagħhom minn oqsma illi fil-verità ħajjiġu daqsxejn redundant. Fil-industrija tal-farmaceutika dawn se jiġu assorbiti u ħajkunu ħanejdu hekk ta' sosten għall-ekonomija Maltija mhux biss imma illi il-livell ta' export, il-figuri li qegħdin naħarsu lejhom huma tali illi ħajkunu ta' kontributur kbir għall-ekonomija Maltija. Voldiri il-passa li laħa l-gvern fi 2017 u 18 illi nillegalizzaw ħanejdu hekk ħansejħu l-legalizzazzjoni tal-użu mediċinali tal-cannabis, ma mhux biss li mbagħad morna l-pass ieħor illi anke nippermettu l-manifattura fil-pajjiż din ikkumplementat industrija tal-farmaceutika u żgur se tkun ta' kontributur kbir għall-ekonomija tal-pajjiż.
Okay, just to our followers, as usual, we have the usual comments about what language you should be speaking. I'll keep trying to translate every so often.
If you want me to speak in English, it's no problem at all. So I can use both.
But we'll just try and mix it up to make sure everyone's happy. Andrew, how do you feel about the developments in terms of the business side of things? You guys don't really talk that much about it, and your current concern, I believe, is personal use cultivation, right? What do you make of what John is saying as well in terms of the way that the industry is developing?
Our main push is for the end of prohibition of cannabis, full stop. I mean, obviously that entails not getting arrested and not having law enforcement on your back for consuming a product which is legal for so many millions of people around the world. Obviously, when the talk was coming in about the medical cannabis businesses coming in, of course we were happy because it starts a conversation, and once people begin to listen about what cannabis really is and how it can help therapeutically, of course this is something we welcome. But unfortunately, it's the patients that we represent. We represent the people on the street, and we give them a voice. So a lot of them can't afford this medicine at the moment. You have to go through a lot of loopholes just to be able to get a prescription and for it to be signed by the superintendent of health, who's busy enough at the moment. and then that comes back, and then you have to fill in forms, and then you have to wait 3 weeks, and then once you get it, you have to go and pay 400 euros, and then after a month, you've got to get more paperwork done. In other countries, you get a prescription, you walk into the pharmacy, and you walk out. Sometimes you don't even need a prescription. So obviously, it's a bit hard for patients. So they're the ones we want to give a voice to, and if we could get rid of a lot of the bureaucracy, then we'd be much happier, for sure.
And so, as you said, is it really Charmaine Gauchi who has to sign the papers for cannabis?
Well, no, she's got a team. I would suppose she has a team. I doubt she's dealing with it herself, but I mean, she is the head at the end of the day, and yes, it is. She's the boss, so it's her signature at the end of the day that goes on it.
Okay, interesting. John, it seems to me, and I don't know if Andrew would agree here, but I'll get his views as well. It seems to me that there aren't many countries or cities in the world who have done what Andrew's talking about, properly remove the prohibition around cannabis and legalized it in a robust way. So what are the countries that you are looking at as a policy advisor to try and replicate? Or are we trying to reinvent the wheel here? Are we trying to create our own model?
No, in actual fact, we're not trying to replicate anybody's model. We looked into all the models, all the existing models. We speak with all the experts who are involved in these changes in legislation, and we also have learned that what they have introduced was actually a half-baked cake, and now they're putting out fires because what they've done, they did not do it well. So in our position is what we're doing well. It's important to take a step at a time rather than rush into things. We haven't wasted any minute since 2017, so we have been in discussions with stakeholders, and now we have the courage to make the next step and perhaps look into what needs to be done on a short-term basis, and therefore close on the gaps and anomalies that exist in the existing laws. We know that some laws cause injustice for responsible users, so we want to respect and remove the stigma of responsible users in such a way that we take away the criminal aspect and change it into an administrative aspect, which means there's no more scare of being labeled as a criminal, whereas before, one just for using cannabis would be labeled as a criminal, which did not make absolutely any sense at all. So yes, now it's time that to have the courage and make the next step. And then obviously a step at a time means that we reach a phase where we are comfortable in regulating, as Andrew is saying, trying to kill the aspect of prohibition. Obviously, we have to treat it with caution. Yes, go ahead.
What that like dispensaries, like as you know, what are there models that we find at least an aspect of what they're doing more interesting?
Okay, it's very important to understand that we are bound by international conventions and laws. So Malta cannot do whatever it likes in terms of legislation. So we need to make sure that whatever we do not step on any landmines, which means places Malta under the microscope in terms of UN sanctions. So we're trying to work on a model which best fits our requirements and at the same time is in harmony with international regulations. As you know, the United Nations still classifies cannabis as an illicit drug, and therefore we need to respect. Obviously, there has been some relaxing in the laws, even on an international level, and the more European countries move towards medical cannabis, it paves the way to slightly and I would say gradually introduce also the responsible use of cannabis, by which then one could also consider having, yes, why not, dispensaries who will dispense cannabis to responsible users.
Andrew, do you identify any countries or cities that are really worth looking at in terms of the legalization model?
Yes, I think one of the models I like the best, because as John rightly said, there are not many countries per se, but if you think of the states that have legalized it within the US, and then we have Canada and we have Uruguay. That's more than 3 models, because within the states, United States of America, we have 11, if not more, states which have completely legalized it for recreational use as well. So you can take each of those models and have a good look at them. You'll find out that the ones that legalized it first had the most problems, because obviously they tried to, to introduce it slowly, maybe not step on too many toes. But if we had to take, for example, Illinois, where Chicago is, they just legalized this on January 1st. And apart from the millions that have come in, and they've actually done a very good job, because they took a bottom-up approach instead of a top-down. So the actual policy wasn't built around the big business or the economy. It was built from the roots up. So social equity and expungements, those were issues that were on the front line of
what does that mean? What does that mean in simple terms?
Well, expungements is something in our policy which we released last year. We're campaigning very hardly on expungements. We think that if we're going to legalize cannabis, and for example 30 grams is legal to possess, then we shouldn't definitely not have anybody in jail at the moment who had less than 30 grams. Same for cultivation, or for consuming. If it's going to be legalized, then those people have to obviously have their cases reviewed. This is something we feel very strongly about. In fact, we think they should be reviewed at the moment, because these are non-violent people. They're classified as criminals, but I find it hard to believe. But I think in an overcrowded prison like we do have here in Malta, those cases should be looked at, and I think that maybe it's time to let them go home.
And you mentioned cultivation. When we say the current law, is it a bit unclear whether let's say you've got a plant that's, I don't know, somehow less than 3 grams, does that mean it's legal? It's for possession or
no? It's quite clear, to be honest, Chris. A lot of people think that because with the new 2015 law that came in, that we can grow a cannabis plant now because it doesn't equal jail. But cannabis is completely illegal in this country. If you grow one plant, you will be arrested if you're caught, and you can be interrogated, and you go through all the hula bala. The only thing is that when you do end up in front of the magistrate, she will not have to send you to prison. Okay. So basically, the law says that yes, one plant or less, no jail.
Okay, and we were talking about business before. You mentioned that in Illinois they sort of deprioritize business compared to social equality and things like that. In Malta, are you concerned about the business side of things? Do you feel that business interests are going to take this over?
Well, we don't want policies to be shaped by big business, because that doesn't work in our favor, and it's basically the same problem that happened in Canada. Canada based their policies on what I call the dot-commers that walked in and took over the industry. The Wall Street people went in, they saw the green rush, they took over, they got in cahoots with government, they started making policies for their own interests. They had companies worth billions of euros on the stock market, but they hadn't even sold a gram or cultivated a gram yet. And then when they did start to actually make the product in these 2 million square meter facilities, they realized that they couldn't, and at the end of the day, the consumer just wants a nice little craft product and is not interested in these big grow-ups.
Mm-hmm. John, and we need to start rounding up the conversation, but I want to plug into a bit your expertise as well, and your previous life as a police officer. I think one of the aspects of confusion today is that you've got the government that issues a 420 video, fronted by someone who's clearly in favor of cannabis legalization. And then on the other hand, you have the police being just as aggressive as usual when it comes to enforcing the current laws, which, as we've said, cannabis is illegal. So, just last week there was a big raid for 3 kilos of cannabis, for example. How difficult is it? And now I guess you've got a bit of a better understanding because you've worn the sort of enforcement hat and now you're wearing the policy hat. How difficult is it to reconcile these two aspects and to make them sort of concurrent with each other? Do you see this disconnect between the enforcement and the policy?
Absolutely. This is what we call social alignment. So the police administration, society is dynamic. So we're constantly changing. So the police need the policing styles and policing measures are required to be aligned with the social developments, so the social political developments. Unfortunately, traditionally, this has not been happening for a very long time. I would say for the past 40 years. The police have been policing through a traditional policing approach, meaning that the law is the law and that is what we have, and we have no discretion to apply otherwise, and therefore these are our tools and this is what we have to work with. They are right in under the umbrella of the rule of law. This is what they are expected to do. But on the other hand, the changes in society and the modern ways in the way we are doing things need to be addressed in such a way that even training in police training and laws need to be done in such a way that provide law enforcement the tools to enforce the law in the way that the policy makers are expecting it to happen. So yes, we have these disparities which need to be addressed. These are known factors, but obviously, without speaking about a specific type of crime, if the law says you cannot have more than 100 grams or 30 grams or 400 grams, you cannot have 3 kilos or 5 kilos or 10 kilos. So we need to respect the police for making themselves available and being on the front line to make sure that they keep us safe. While at the same time, we also need to respect those who are working towards achieving milestone, I would say, quantum leap changes in our legislation in favor of, I would say, a very sensitive issue, which for many years have been discarded and never been brought on the table for discussion. So yes, I do see a disparity, and there is a lot of room to enhance and to work in order to align the policing strategies with policy. But obviously, this is what policy is all about. This is what the changes that we want to bring about in this modern society.
Andrew, concluding remark from you before we close. How important is 420? Why is it important, and why do we sort of commemorate it? And yeah, your parting shot, your message to the public, including people who might feel, this is not a good use of our time and effort as a country, and maybe legalization shouldn't be on the cards.
Well, look, we have a person with us in ReLeaf who obviously doesn't want to show his face like many others. Some people are even scared just to like our Facebook page, for fear of the stigma. We have a person that works with us, and he's a young kid, he's in his early 20s. And when he was 19, he had some cannabis on him, and he bought some for his friends. Obviously, it was over the limit. The guy's life was basically destroyed. He's a very sensitive guy. He spent a year in jail. His parents turned against him. They agreed with what the law did to him. The guy is just completely destroyed. And if you speak to him now, you can tell how hurt he is. So I mean, this is just one example of why we do what we do, because tomorrow there will be another kid like him which is going to go through the same thing. And there are literally hundreds of cases like this. There are people waiting now for the time, the judgments. There's a law which is meant to come in where the magistrates are allowed to be given discretion. I don't think that's passed yet, because a lot of magistrates were saying the hands were tied. And I'm sorry, I have to send you to jail for 6 months. That's what the law says. So I feel that we're moving very slowly. I wish we could treat it with more urgency, because for us this is an urgent matter, you know. But on the whole, yeah, 420 for us is a celebration. It just comes from an old myth about a bunch of guys in the States that met up on campus every day at 420 and they'd go have a little smoke after studying, and no big deal really. But it cottoned on, and so yeah, it's like a national day for us.
And before we conclude, I just want to understand, when you say cultivation, that you want the right to cultivate. You want the right to cultivate as much as possible, or do you have specifics in terms of the amounts that you want to be allowed to cultivate?
No, we kind of agreed on a half dozen plants would be enough, you know. But I mean, if you look at Canada, when they legalized medical cannabis, patients straight away from day one were allowed to grow their own. You know, there was no way that the law said, "Listen, you're allowed to have medical cannabis, but you have to buy it from a multinational company." You know, they weren't going to have that in a democratic country, so they were allowed to grow their own, and whatever your prescription was, then if it was a gram, 2, 3 a day, then you would have an amount of plants associated with that prescription. And if, for example, you were an old granny that didn't know how to grow, you could give that little personal license you had to someone to grow it for you. You could do a handover or legally, and they would grow your 10, 20, 24 plants for you. I mean, it's no big deal.
Okay. Thank you both. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, John, for the discussion today. Happy 420 to you both. And I'll just do a quick conclusion myself before we say bye to the viewers. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks a lot for the space.
Chris.
So that was another edition of COVID Calls today on 420, which we said, as Andrew said, is sort of the national day for weed smokers. We had earlier on the program Junior Minister Rosianne Cutajar, who this morning issued a video to talk about how important this is as a subject to her and to the government, that 40,000 people are considered to be cannabis smokers in Malta, which is a large number, and obviously politically an interesting segment as well. We also heard from ReLeaf, that is the NGO promoting cannabis legalization, and their point is that currently with the COVID situation, it's even the situation is even worse for cannabis users. The quality of the substance is reduced because the amount of supply has reduced as well. And we also heard from John Ellul, who is a policy advisor to the government, and explaining the kind of models that Malta is looking at, but also that Malta wants to kind of create its own model that makes sense and learns from the experiences of other countries. So that was COVID Calls. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for following our show. We'll be with you tomorrow. Tomorrow we should have the Environment Minister Aaron Farrugia with us, and so we'll be discussing some of the environmental aspects around COVID-19 as well, and beyond that. So thanks again for watching. I've been Chris Peregin, and this has been COVID Calls.